Chris Bukowski of Emerging Civil War, and I am at the Chancellorsville battlefield today. I have been out doing a video tour on behalf of the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust. I'm actually sitting at the little parking area next to Fairview, which was the site of intense artillery action in the heart of the Union position on May 3rd, 1863. Central Virginia Battlefield Trust has done a lot to preserve the area battlefields around here, and starting this weekend they're going to be doing a virtual fundraiser, and as part of that they asked me to do a video tour of the battlefield related to Stephen Crane's Red Badge of Courage. And so I've been out here walking in the sort of footsteps of Private Henry Fleming. Now, it was important to Crane that he not ground the book in a specific battle. We know it's Chancellorsville because a lot of the actions match up. And in a different short story called The Veteran, Crane's character, Henry Fleming, actually says, yeah, that was Chancellorsville. So he sort of identifies it sideways. Enough things do match up that it's pretty easy. As veterans read it, they're like, oh yeah, that's Chancellorsville. But Crane really wanted to try to keep things as general as possible so that he could really talk more about the universal soldier experience and not get bogged down into the tactical movements of regiments, tactical movements of this character across the battlefield. He didn't want us trekking in Henry Fleming's footsteps, which is exactly what I've kind of been trying to do today in a way. So what I've done is actually gone out on the field today and found some places that match up to some of the things that Crane describes in his book, some of the settings, so that you can kind of see a modern day representation of what Crane was writing about. Crane had never actually been to the battlefield. So the fact that he was able to evoke the battlefield so successfully, just based on his talks with veterans, is pretty incredible. Of course, we don't really get to go to that same battlefield either. The battlefield we see is in 2020, not in 1863. And so even the wilderness that we see around Chancellorsville is not too wild. The forest is much more mature than it had been once upon a time. But one of my jobs today has just been to kind of go out and find little places like, Crane writes a little place that's sort of like this, or he writes about a place that's sort of like that. And so it's kind of a fun way to look at the battlefield today. You'll be able to see that video courtesy of the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust. I'll post a link in the comments below so that you can actually join in on the fundraiser and you can help support battlefield preservation here at Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, Wilderness, and Spotsylvania Courthouse, thanks to Central Virginia Battlefield Trust. But no matter where you're at, no matter where you're watching from, what your favorite battlefield is, supporting battlefield preservation is vital. So I urge you, regardless of the battlefield you love, find a way to help preservation efforts because these are primary source materials. A novelist like Stephen Crane can write a wonderful story and help us visit the battle in our imaginations, but to be able to visit the battlefield in real life and walk the ground that these soldiers really wrote is really a gift to us today and a reminder of the sacrifice that they made so that we could be here today. So really, I hope that you support battlefield preservation, and I hope you support specifically the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust fundraiser. Last but not least, I hope you read Red Badge of Courage. It's something that many of us haven't read since middle school. I've read it and reread it and reread it this summer several times to get ready for this virtual tour. But I revisited the book a couple years ago for the first time in a long time. And what a wonderful novel. It might be the perfect war novel. Many people have called it such. If you can call a war novel perfect. But I urge you to revisit that book because it will give you some gifts and open your imagination and surprise you in lots of delightful ways. I'm Chris Bukowski on the Chancellorsville battlefield for Emerging Civil War.